poisoning of Sergei and Yulia Skripal. If you are familiar with the discrepancies in this curious 2018 puzzle, I would like to hear your take on this previous massive anti Russian hoo ha. Where do you think the Skripals could be now? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing
No, you
the
got
word.
the
Okay,
you got the
great.
names correct. Look, I'm not, you know, an expert on the Skripal case. I followed it like everybody else. I am somewhat of a specialist. I'm not going to use the word expert because that would imply a level of expertise that I don't possess. I'm not a chemist, so I can't say I'm an expert on chemical weapons, but I have a certain knowledge of chemical weapons. And the Novichok agent, which is alleged to have been used in this case, is unique to Russia. We thought that's the problem. You see, the way this story is supposed to work is that Skripal, who used to be a Russian intelligence officer, was arrested for espionage, spying on behalf of the British, and he was imprisoned. Now, in the old days, when you were arrested for espionage, you tended to take a short walk from the place where you wrote a confession and a plea for a pardon. And as they walked you to what you thought was your prison cell, you entered a dark alleyway, and somebody walked behind you and blew your brains out, because that's how traitors were dealt with. They were executed. Skripal's alive. Skripal was allowed to leave Russia. He was allowed to go to, of all places, the United Kingdom, his former employers. So right off the bat, you have to recognize the following. Literally, Skripal had no information that concerned Russia anymore. He was no longer viewed as a threat. If he was viewed as a threat, even if they released him from prison, they would have kept him under house arrest. They would have restricted his access to the international community. He might have been sent to a different place, a gulag type exile inside Russia, although they don't do that anymore, at least not like they did in Soviet times. But Skripal posed a threat to nobody, no one. So they let him immigrate. And suddenly we're supposed to believe that Skripal has been transformed into a threat worthy of Russia sending assassins to the United Kingdom using a poison substance that is unique to Russia, meaning that it's going to be detected and therefore it points straight back to Russia. Now, this might work well in Tom Clancy novels or, Hollywood movies, where Hollywood writers who know nothing about the intelligence world can write a script that sounds entertaining, but it's not how the Russians operate. It boggles the mind. One of the things that breaks this down is the notion that Novichok is unique to Russia. What we find out through the various investigations is that the British had the formula. The Americans had the formula. Hell, everybody had the formula. Not only had the formula, but they actually were able to produce the elements in their own laboratories. So the idea that Novichok was unique to Russia falls apart. So you can't say the circumstantial evidence alone proves that Russia did it, because it literally doesn't prove anything. The presence of Novichok proves nothing. And the other thing is, the way this whole investigation was carried out is in total violation of how things are supposed to be done according to the Organization of Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, which has the mandate legally from treaty to investigate something like this. Russia is the accused party. Therefore, the data must be presented to Russia, because Russia has a right to know that of which they're being accused of, but that's not being shared. They're cutting Russia out of it. Why? Because it's a setup. 100% setup that went bad. It shouldn't have happened this way. There shouldn't have been other people contaminated. This was a mistake. This was an error. But the chances of this being a Russian assassination attempt, look, the Russians are pretty good at killing people when they want to kill people. Just ask Trotsky. So ask, I don't know, Stepan Bandera. There's a bunch of other guys that we could ask, but they're all dead. Why? because they were assassinated. That's what professional intelligence services do when they're charged with assassinating people. But suddenly we believe the Russians are incompetent because they didn't just use Novichok against the Skripals, they stuck it in Navalny's underwear. Navalny was supposedly attempted assassination by the most deadly substance in the world. The most deadly substance in the world hasn't killed anybody, apparently, that it was used against, except innocents. They didn't kill Skripal. They didn't kill his daughter. They didn't kill Navalny. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's where I stand.